Hello and welcome to another exciting and inspirational edition of the Helping Hand TV show. As you know, the Helping Hand will focus on the abilities of persons with disability. H4P is 10 years old. We are bringing dignity to disability.
H4P, here for perfection. You have made changes to people's lives that you are perhaps not aware of. Every Saturday when I watch this show, I feel more heard. I feel more visible. I feel like somebody is speaking my mind. The show has brought enough evidence that these are awesome people who are doing great things. They are helping their families, institutions, churches, nation.
Remember that disability is not inability. Hello and welcome to another exciting and inspirational edition of the Helping Hand TV show. With me, the voice of ability and there for persons with disability. This is a special Mother's Day celebration episode, and I have a very special mother with me in the studios. I'll go for a quick commercial break. When I come back, I'll introduce you to my guest. Stay tuned. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are with me, the voice of ability and air for persons with disability. And today I want to introduce you to someone with so much ability. Some people call her the greatest friend. Others call her the sweet companion. And others still call her the faithful worker. She is dependable, reliable, and adorable. And she's committed to lending you a helping hand anytime, anywhere. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome DV Cleaners.
DV Cleaners Alata Samina Shower Gels, DV Cleaners Aloe Vera Shower Gels, DV Cleaners Body Lotions, DV Cleaners Hair Shampoos, DV Cleaners Hair Conditioners, DV Cleaners Liquid Detergents, DV Cleaners Hand Wash, DV Cleaners Floor Cleaners, DV Cleaners Toilet Cleaners, DV Cleaners Cake Soaps, and now introducing DV Cleaners Hand Sanitizers. For bulk purchase, call us on +233 278 308 246 or +233 244 467 326. DV Cleaners, one of the topmost made in Ghana products. DV Cleaners, proudly Ghanaian.
And so remember that anytime you purchase any of the DV Cleaners range of products, you are lending a helping hand to a person with disability, and you are supporting H4P organization's special advocacy for persons with disability. DV Cleaners.
Nature's finest touch.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back to the Helping Hand TV show. With me, the voice of ability and air for persons with disability. This is the special Mother's Day celebration episode, and I have a very special mother with me. Her name is Mamiya Echan. She's a lawyer, and she teaches at the University of Ghana Law School. Mamiya, thank you for being with me.
Thank you for inviting me.
I have heard your story, and your story is so inspirational. I want to hear it from you, but let me begin by asking you, special Mother's Day, what would you say to your mother?
What would I say to my mother? Well, I would say thank you, Mama. There were times when, as a child, I thought she was hard on me. My mother never entertained things like menstrual cramps, and she would say, if your children are hungry, they won't understand that you are cramping. This is not the time to lie down and curl into a ball, and you take a painkiller and you move.
Wow.
And that has contributed to my attitude towards things. You take a painkiller and you move, because things will not wait for you to, to feel better before you can. And as a child, I thought that was a hard thing to learn, and it's the one thing that has helped me through my journey as a special needs mother. So I would say thank you for. She always said the life of an African woman is hard. You have to live up to Western standards. You have to live up to your own Ghanaian standards, whatever tribe you come from. You have to live up to your personal standards. You have to live up to your husband's family standards. There's so many things that you have to live up to. And she was determined that wherever we found ourselves, we would be able to adapt and to thrive and to survive and succeed. So, yeah, my mother is a star.
Wow. And thank you, all mothers, for being who you are. Without you, we don't know. Of course, my mom, I call her baby. Happy Mother's Day. You are my baby, you know. Nanaya, let's start with your story from the very beginning.
Okay.
You are pregnant. You didn't have any complications?
Not really, no. The only thing I remember, I mean, apart from I had a lot of nausea, and I was a bit anemic, but that's nothing that really stands out until about the first week of August. I remember going to the hospital and saying I hadn't felt my baby move for about 2 days, and the doctor said, well, you are 37 weeks, you ought to feel the baby every day. So if you don't remember that you have enough, that you felt him, we have to start thinking about whether we might take some emergency procedures.
Okay.
Eventually, they decided, look, let's just do the cesarean section now, because I was due the following week anyway. And the doctor said, you know what, rather than do all of these testing, and you're already due, so let's just, you're beyond 37 weeks, let's do it now. And I remember, so
was it not necessary to have done the tests to know what you were going in for?
We did do that. We did do some tests.
Some tests, okay.
And while they didn't find anything alarming, it was just a general sense of, look, we've already reached there. We had 1 more week to go, and they just decided, given the way I'm feeling uncomfortable and in spite of the testing, nothing extraordinary is going on. If I was okay with it, they would do the test. They would do the section, and I said, go ahead. So yeah, that's.
So it was an emergency procedure.
Yes.
It went well.
It went very well. He was fine. He wasn't very talkative. If you know, he didn't cry very much. He cried, but it wasn't. He was a very quiet baby. Also, I thought. And then a couple of days after he was born, the doctor came and checked and said he was yellow, and so we started sitting in the sun and then doing cell therapy.
Were you still at the hospital?
Yes. But after day 5, he still was very yellow, and the doctors decided we had to scale it up to a bigger government hospital, which had more facilities. So we were moved to 37. So the first 10 days we were in different hospitals trying to get him to, I forget what they call it. They do some tests and they find something, too much of it means you still have jaundice, and he was very yellow. But then at 37, so we were being treated for the neonatal jaundice and then neonatal sepsis.
That's for infections?
Yes. And then somebody must have had chickenpox because we were in the big dormitory, the children's emergency section. And we got chickenpox from there too. So you have a child who was already not very strong and being hit within his first month by so many things. And to this day, they don't know exactly what caused the problems, but any of the 3 could have been the culprit, or perhaps he being weak already couldn't fight so many things at the same time.
I would go for a break. When I come back, I would ask you how you are feeling, especially with the backdrop of how your mom trained you to be strong, to all that. I would come and find out more on that. Well, yeah, with me, the voice of ability and for persons with disability, we are doing the special Mother's Day celebration episode. I have a special mother here, Mamia, and we are hearing her story, interesting story. We'll go for H4P tidbits. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
It's H4P Tidbits time. For a large part of society, when you have a disability, you must definitely live a life of mediocrity. H4P, through the Helping Hand TV show, proves that disability is not inability. The Helping Hand TV show, showcasing persons with disability who have overcome their limitation and have moved on to become successful in their chosen fields of endeavor. The Helping Hand TV show, advocating for policies and structures for an all-inclusive society. The Helping Hand TV show, identifying the challenges of persons with disability and soliciting support for them. The Helping Hand TV show, creating a platform for persons with disability to be heard and including them in national development. The Helping Hand TV show, using education and entertainment to raise the awareness that disability is indeed not inability. As you call to the CEO and the staff of H4P organization, H4P, bringing dignity to disability. H4P, perfection is our passion.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back to the Helping Hand TV show with me, the voice of ability and for persons with disability. Special Mother's Day celebration. We wish all mothers a happy Mother's Day, especially special mothers a happy, blessed Mother's Day. Mommy, I thank you for spending your time with me in the studio.
Thank you again for wanting to hear my story.
Yes, yes, I have been waiting to hear your story. I have been waiting. Tell me how you're feeling with all this. The name of your son?
My son officially is Nana Kweku Bonsu Sechi Barnes, but we call him Papa.
Papa, okay. So with all that was happening to Papa, how are you feeling? Strong?
No, not strong. Not strong. So you have, I mean, imagine you have my first pregnancy, my first child. So that I had to have an emergency procedure.
Okay.
And I was swollen, I was in pain. You know, you want to give birth and take your child home. And then you keep moving. You know, at first ambulance ride, because we were rushed there in an ambulance, and I was clutching my stomach with one hand and driving behind the ambulance with the other hand. So 5 days after cesarean section, I was driving behind the ambulance and, you know, holding my stomach and kind of like yelping every time you go over a speed ramp. It's like, oh, and then you move on, keep moving. So no, I don't. I didn't feel very strong.
Okay.
But
you had to be strong.
Yes. You don't have a choice. Yeah. You have. If I was confused, then I can imagine what my son was feeling.
Yeah.
And one of us had to be strong for the other person. So, and 37 had strict visiting policies. Okay. So, unlike a private hospital where my mother could be there more frequently and longer and all that, you couldn't get it that way in 37.
Okay.
I sat in a plastic chair for 5 days. So, immediately post-surgery, you are swollen, you are in pain, you are still in a chair for 5 days. There was nowhere to sleep, nowhere to...
But your situation was special. Didn't they give you any special treatment?
No. I have nightmares from that 37... no. I wasn't special. There were other women, there were other mothers who had just delivered, who were also in the same place. It was like a cubicle. So there were, all of us there were fresh mothers.
But a plastic chair?
Yes, that's what they had. So that tells you the state of our hospitals. That's what they had. So it was a difficult time. Yeah. And it was a confusing time, and things that should have come naturally, or things that we were told would come naturally, like breast milk, didn't come. Because I was so stressed out. And I was so worried that, and he couldn't latch because he was also so weak, you know. So there was a whole lot of emotions, feeling like you are failing at everything you have done, feeling like there's something wrong with you, but not being able to show it, because at that point you have to, you know, when they call you to bring your child to have an IV line put in there, you can't be there be crying. And all his veins had collapsed at some point, so they had to go into his head.
Oh.
So that was the first time I saw them put an IV line through a child's skull, and even all of these images for a fresh mother.
Yeah.
It was tough. And my mother came one day. I remember my mother's working, so I didn't get the chance to have a mother to stay at home and take care of me, and she was still working. But she came to the hospital one day, and then they asked her to leave. And that's when the lion in my mother said no. My mother shouted. She said, I'm not going anywhere. And you can call security. They will have to carry me out of here.
Wow.
If it were your daughter, would you be happy? Look at her. Her feet are swollen. She's in pain. There was no water flowing at 37 at the time. So it was a whole lot of very difficult things that were going on. And I was glad that at least I had someone to... my mother said she wasn't going. They could lift her up if they wanted, but she wasn't going to walk out of there.
Wow.
And my mother is a big woman, so it's no small threat when she says you have to carry me out of here. And kind of challenge the nurses. You are female. If you were here, or if it was your daughter, would you be happy with the treatment?
Are you the only child?
No, I'm the youngest daughter.
Okay.
And we are 3 girls.
Okay.
So it was a tough. Wow. It was a tough time, but you can't cry. You are not the only one there.
But it speaks a lot, like you're saying, about our medical facilities and all that. A place like 37, we shouldn't be saying things like this, should we?
No, it's a shame. It's a shame. There was no place to put newborn babies, and but to put them all together with other children, and it was no surprise chickenpox came.
Yeah.
Because we were all low on immunity.
Yeah.
And then, so that we need to do a lot of work on our medical infrastructure.
And all through that, you look at Papa, and what do you think?
I felt sorry for him. If I'm thinking...
Was he in pain?
Yes, he was. And I mean, he had needles in his head, he had in his hands. I mean, he was tired, he was not eating well, he was not strong. But I felt sorry for him, not just because of the pain that he was in, but I would look at him and say, so if they say, call your mother, this is the person you are going to call. I'm confused, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed out, and I'm your mother, and that's all the mother you have.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt bad for him, but this confused person was the person who was responsible for him at the time. And wondering, at the time we didn't even know that there would be, he didn't have chickenpox then.
Okay.
So we just thought, we're just waiting for the yellow to die out, and then we go home and all of that stuff. But it was sad for him. It was sad.
This is the point I have to pause and wish you a happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day on behalf of Papa, right?
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day.
This time I can smile. Happy Mother's Days were not really happy for me for a long time. But thank you. We went for speech day at Wesley Girls to visit my cousins, and also to have some family kind of time away. And we went to Cape Coast on Friday. He was perfectly fine all day.
How old was he at the time?
Just about 6 months.
Okay.
He was perfectly fine, and then suddenly began to stiffen and shake and cry. And we thought maybe, at the time, what did they call that? The bells for after visiting hours over were going. So we thought it had startled him, and the siren was uncomfortable. But the rest of the evening, he was very stiff. His skin was very dry. He didn't want to eat.
And it started abruptly.
Yes. So we wondered what was going on. He cried throughout the night, and we are in a different city. I don't know anybody there, and I was trying to get us to go to hospital. My husband said, it's late, we don't know this place, we don't even know how to get our way, find our way there. So early the next morning,
Okay.
we took him to the hospital. And the doctor said, oh, it was an ear infection. They saw some inflammation in the ear. And they said, oh, relax, it's an ear infection. And then my sister-in-law at the time was in Takoradi. She's a doctor. So she called her colleague in Cape Coast and said, give a second opinion, because I wasn't, the way they described the child, she wasn't happy at the ear infection diagnosis. So we went to see this doctor. And she also said, well, she can see the inflammation, but she thinks we need some tests.
Okay.
That by that time he was quiet and sleeping.
Still stiffening?
Not as much, but he
Okay.
was just quiet and sleeping. And she said she thinks we should do some tests. So if we are going home, she thinks we should go straight to the hospital from there.
Okay.
And so when we got to Accra, that Sunday, I told my husband, I'm not going home, I'm going to the hospital. And my husband said, oh, Sunday hospital, you know, you find any serious care there, you don't have the big doctors you need for. And I said, you know, you can go home. As for me, I'm going to the hospital. So I took him to the hospital.
Okay.
My mother's brother, my uncle, runs a hospital. So I took him there and I said, that's for here. If I don't have money, I'll get a bed to sleep here. So here, so initially the doctor, and when he got there, Papa was smiling. So the doctor, the pediatrician said, oh,
there's nothing wrong.
my baby, you could have waited for another day. This boy is smiling and happy. And I said, no, there's something different about my child. And so he and my husband were kind of like joking and said, well, let us just satisfy mommy's curiosity or her fears and let's just check him out. So in doing the full body check, he noticed then that the joints were very tight, the arms were very stiff. And then he asked me, why didn't you tell me about the stiffness? And I said, I didn't think it was something to look out for. I thought that he didn't want to eat. That's why he had been straining away and being so. And then he said, you know, I think I'll keep you after all. So that was my first indication that something was you know, more than. But even though he didn't see anything, and I can read kind of like upside down. So I saw that he wrote, so I read as like, I saw query meningitis.
Okay.
But still at the time, I didn't understand that there was something dramatic going on. And that night, I remember my father came. So my son is named after my husband's father and my father. And my father and my son have a really close bond.
Wow.
So he came and he said, oh, my puppy. And he was playing, my father likes jazz, so he was playing jazz. And Papa kept shaking, and we thought he was responding. But it turns out he was having seizures throughout the night. And we didn't know, because we didn't know what seizures looked like.
Oh, no.
Because nowhere in antenatal care does anybody tell you that seizures are something babies can have. And so you must look out for this sign or that sign. So we didn't know until a nurse came and said, asked about, you know, have I noticed anything? And I said, oh, he seems to be jerking. But I thought it was in tune to the music. And she asked, what does it look like? So when I described it, she said, okay, let me just see if I can see it for myself. And then while she was there, we had a couple more. And she said, these are seizures. We need to do some tests. And, you know, so from there on, we had, you know, tests running. And I remember bringing the scans back. And my uncle is a gynae, but, I mean, he's a doctor. He knows this. So and I noticed that all the doctors were avoiding me, including my uncle. And so I thought it was strange. When we were all going, everybody was like, oh, go ahead, come back, we'll see you soon. And then I returned with the scans, and suddenly all the doctors are kind of avoiding me. Nobody wanted to come. They were all waiting for the pediatrician who ordered the test to come and tell me what they had found. I even, at some point, caught my uncle peeking into my room, and then he disappeared again. And then I heard him ask, is Dr. Fidia in? So I knew that there's something going on. But
were
again,
they wondering how you were going to take it?
I think everybody was avoiding being the one to break the news to me. So I didn't know at the time that doctors could also be worried about these things. But so eventually the pediatrician came, and came and asked me, is there somebody with me? I said, my mom is here. He said, okay, because you need somebody to be with you at this time. And then explained that something had gone into his brain and had damaged a significant portion of both sides of the brain. And we needed to go into a bigger hospital and do all the tests for vision, hearing, all of those things had to be done. Even then, I don't think I really understood. I guess in my ignorance, I assumed that like other parts of the body, you get hurt, it will scab over and the skin will grow back.
Okay.
You know, I don't think I understood then that brain cells never rejuvenate, never come back. So I was crying, but even then I was kind of like, well, I'm confused and I hate hospitals and one more stay in another hospital. But, you know, my mother said, let's pray. And we started saying Psalm 23.
Wow.
And then we said the Lord's Prayer. And then they prepared the ambulance. So my second ambulance ride in 6 months. And
so you're going to a bigger hospital?
Yeah, so we went to Kolebu.
Okay.
From there. And I just remember being in the ambulance and they had him on oxygen and just wondering, you know, 3 days ago I was in Cape Coast enjoying a nice weekend away with my family. And I'm going to Kolebu. How you know the journey was just really quick.
I mean, hold it there. Let me go for 60 seconds success. We'll be right back. I know you're enjoying the story. She's not going anywhere, I promise. We'll be right back with my very special guest, Mamia Echan. Stay tuned.
Focus, true grit. Keep going. Keep your eyes on the prize. No stopping, because winning is not an option. It's 60-second success with the Bishop. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to 60 Second Success with the Bishop. Today I want to talk to you about the importance of taking risks, calculated risks. Life is a journey, my friend, a journey that is full of risks. And you have to decide to take calculated risks because it is those who have the audacity to face their fears and take risks who become successful. Life is not always smooth. Life oftentimes is a curved path of turbulence and it demands a lot of diligence so that it can lead to a life of success. Successful people know that in the journey of life, there are times of rain and there are times of sunshine. It is ordinary people who rest because of the rains, but successful people work and they take risks because of the rains. Great success only comes to those who are bold enough to take great calculated risks. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the Helping Hand TV show with me, the voice of ability and for persons with disability. This is a special Mother's Day episode, and I have my very, very special guest. Again, happy Mother's Day, Mami.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day. I'm thinking through it, and still I'm finding it difficult not to believe that you are strong. But this is your second ride to the hospital. Thankfully, this time around, you are not in pain yourself whilst you are...
Yeah.
But it will still be traumatic, right?
It was, and it was rush hour. And, you know, Accra traffic and cars. For some strange reason, cars didn't want to move out of the way. I was screaming in the van, literally screaming, get out of our way. My son is sick. It's an ambulance. I started wondering, when did we stop moving for ambulances? Yeah. Because people were crossing us. People wouldn't let us move. People were with the bus, the driver was honking. We just couldn't believe that nobody wanted to give us a chance. I was almost in tears in the car, just kind of praying that people will let us through and we can get there. And when we got in the public system, they want you to pay this before they ask that. They want you to, at that point, you just want to scream and say, I don't care how much it costs.
Yeah.
Right now, I have a child who I don't understand what is going on.
Yeah.
He's sick. He's, you know, just take the child, put him somewhere, give him medication, and then we can talk about administrative things. Of course, that's from a mother's perspective. But I also understood that they needed information about his history. They needed to know what was going on. You know, so my best friend turned sister had literally just driven into the hospital when we were coming out. She just parked the car, jumped into my mother's car, and then came with me to the hospital. So she handled all the legwork payments and stuff. My mother sat with me while the doctors asked me, you know, about the history, so they could. And I remember my mother specifically asking if I would get a bed. They didn't want to repeat the plastic chair episode. So they said, oh, there's another side that they can take us to. But the nurses were, that one costs 50 cedis a night. Will you pay 50 cedis? I said, madam, at this point, if it costs 1 million a night, we don't care. And then, but I felt bad for her because she said, the last time they did that, somebody refused to pay when the child got better. So now they have to get your money before you go. And I said, don't worry. I don't think that at this point, 50 cedis is what I'm going to fight over. You know. And so that became another 2 weeks. Again, Kolebu had no water.
Oh my God.
I mean, there's so much that structurally is wrong with our medical system. But basic things like water wasn't flowing. I must say that Kolebu was far more pleasant an experience than 37 was. And
I see.
Again, I know the answer is connections because my mother's classmates who were doctors were around, and my sister-in-law had also worked in Kolebu for a bit before being transferred. So we had a lot of people coming to check on us. Once they heard that this is Dr. Nanama Ban's nephew, people started coming in, or they said, oh, Professor Mensah's grandson is here, then you know people were coming to check. So we had a lot of care, but it can't take away some of the things like, you know, seeing your child going through, what do they call this? I can't now, suddenly forgotten the name, but there's a procedure where they literally fold your child like bread, like fresh butter bread. You know, and then they insert a long, thin needle into his spine to draw out the fluid. I can't remember the name now, but it was a torturous experience.
But I'm glad you can laugh about it.
What's the alternative?
Wow.
What's the alternative? So I went there. They said they wouldn't let me come into the procedure because many mothers can't handle, you know, when they fold your child, you just think, can he breathe? Can he? And I said, no, you can't take my son for procedure. I won't be there. I won't allow it. And they said, you have to behave yourself. Don't go and frighten us. And I said, no. So I sat with my son and I was singing to him and I was stroking his hair. You know, when I finished, they said, hey, David, I've never seen your mother do this. Because normally they are screaming and they're crying, don't hurt my son. That is what you are using to help. There's nothing we can do.
I think, again, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. That's what we do on the Helping Hand TV show. We throw the spotlight on the abilities of persons with disability, but we give a platform for people to share their stories. I know there are many of you watching. You are touched, you are blessed, because one woman held on. One woman held on. Happy Mother's Day. I'll cross over to Elorm for a spot of music. I'll come back with my special guest. Stay tuned. It's a Helping Hand TV show.
It's the music segment on the Helping Hand TV show.
You are my strength when I am weak. You are the treasure that I seek. You are my all in all. Seeking you as a precious jewel, glad to give up, I'd be a fool.
H4P, celebrating 10 years of bringing dignity to disability. Hooray! It's H4P Show Time.
Don't you know, Tracy, that my elders say that when a woman buys a gun, it is kept in a man's room? Don't you?
Hey,
don't you?
Collins, then you better tell your elders that I, Ajua Tracy, will not buy a gun that I cannot keep.
What?
Yes, Collins. My gun will not be kept in a man's room. It will not. Especially when the man is using the gun to kill rats instead of antelopes.
Fantastic.
Yes, Collins. Every woman will be fed up. Every woman will be fed up with a man who is only interested in using the gun his wife has labored and worked hard to buy to only kill rats and cockroaches.
Fantastic.
Instead of antelope and proper bushmeat.
Fantastic. Tracy, do you know that that is a fantastic insult? Tracy, how dare you insult me? Tracy, you insult and disrespect me, your husband. Tracy, do you know that I am your husband, and the Bible says I am your head? Tracy, you insult your head.
Oh, sorry, Collins. I'm sorry. I suppose my head needs a thorough checkup.
What?
Because my head is not thinking right.
Fantastic! Tracy, what are you insinuating? Who is not thinking right?
Oh, it's my head.
How dare you?
Purchase copies of the H4P melodrama DVDs today. Contact H4P on +233 209 555 777 or +233 596 313 338. All sales are for the promotion of our disability advocacy, so grab your copies now. It's H4P Show Time. It's 10 years of bringing dignity to disability. H4P, Ajiko.
Yeah, welcome back to the Helping Hand TV show with me, the voice of ability for persons with disability. This is a special Mother's Day celebration, and I have a special friend, a special mother here with me. Her story is amazing. I still think she's strong. She says she's not, but I think she is very, very strong. Mommy, let me find out from you. If you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
I think I would do a lot more reading than I did.
Okay.
Initially, when you are faced with this diagnosis and, you know, one moment you are dealing with what you think is a mild problem, and then another moment your child, they tell you he can't see, he's failed the hearing tests in one ear, he's done this, he's done that. I think I was overly dependent on doctors and what they told me to do. Which is not to say don't do what they say, but if I had done my own reading, there are things I would not have done. So, for example, a doctor told me to be flicking the light on and off to stimulate his vision. So I bought, first we used to use just ordinary lights. And then my mother said, oh, we have Christmas lights. You know, that's like a tree, we can put him under it, and then, because we were just thinking of anything we could do to help him.
To get that effect.
And so we would put him under the Christmas lights and have the lights flicker on, off. And he would be shaking, and I wouldn't understand it. Until one day I just somehow Googled stimulating eyes or something like that. And I discovered that on and off action actually triggers epileptic seizures. Because there's something known as photosensitive epilepsy, so flashing images. And so I said, oh my God, I had been contributing to this child's problems because somebody I trusted.
My goodness.
And after that I said, now I do my own reading. And I may not always get the correct information, but I will always weigh, because ultimately this is my decision. You know, his care is my decision. They can only guide me at the hospital. So it was after that I said, no, I mean, why am I behaving like I don't have an education? I've had an expensive education I have to use and I have to research. So I started reading about cerebral palsy. I had to start, downloading medical journals. If I didn't understand some word, I would ask doctor friends. But I never, after that, trusted exclusively what a doctor said. And I suspect if you ask other special mothers, they will tell you the same, that we've learned that they also make mistakes.
Yeah. Allow me to be in the stead of your children, especially Papa. I've not met him, but he's my friend already. I love children with disabilities. That's why we've been doing this for 10 years now. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you for being strong. Thank you. I'm going to do something, most of my crew members here, I'm going to wish their mothers happy Mother's Day because they deserve it. My crew, they make this possible. I know you enjoy the show, but you don't know how it happens. When I come and sit here, there are a lot of men and women behind the cameras, behind the scenes who are making this happen. So let me take time to wish Mrs. Florence Ama, Madam Salamatu Baumia, Madam Faustina Ami Adadi, Mrs. Gladys Martinson, Madam Janet Asantewa, Mrs. Cecilia Avoclia, Madam Irene Enuma, Mrs. Grace Ankra, Mrs. Mercy Tete, Mrs. Beatrice Minta, Mrs. Gladys Mante, Mrs. Cecilia Teria Nai Olenu, and my mother, baby, Mrs. Christina Hackman. Happy Mother's Day. And of course, I cannot forget Madame Francois. Happy Mother's Day. H4P, we are 10 years old. We've been doing this for 10 years, bringing dignity to disability. So what do you have to say to H4P?
Congratulations. This is such a thankless job. People, I'm sure that if you were doing something on a beach show or a pageant, you would have so many sponsors clamoring for your... but you have taken something that is so unpopular and so taboo in many places. And you are deliberately giving it a face, giving it a voice, and clothing it with dignity. So we thank you. Thank you for giving us a platform to share our stories and to do our own bit for advocating for persons with disabilities. Papa, and people like Papa, especially on behalf of my son, we say thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. And for the last time, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank
Mother's
you very
Day.
much, Bishop.
Well, my guest has been Mami Chab. So she's a lawyer and she teaches at the University of Ghana School of Law. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to DV Unlimited Company Limited and Fire City Chapel, my proud sponsors. Thank you so much for holding me up. My crew, my amazing crew. Thank you so much for always being available to make this happen. I'm going to come your way again next week with a Helping Hand TV show. Until then, remember that disability is not inability. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and God bless you.